Orange is the New Black is where we dive in. Every episode we'll discuss, even the scenes that made us cuss. So follow me, join the spree. I try to space for 2 E's. Spoilers everywhere, so be warned. Super fans, please come on board. Susie's specializing all these ideas because we make it everything truly as it is.
Hello and welcome to Yadda Space. I'm Yadda and I'm so glad you're here. This is a rewatch podcast for the Netflix TV show Orange is the New Black. That means that there may be spoilers about things that happen in the future episodes, so please be warned. This is definitely a spoiler zone. On today's episode of our Orange is the New Black rewatch, we will be discussing Season 1, Episode 13, titled Can't Fix Crazy. The IMDb synopsis for this episode says, Alex makes a final decision about Piper, and Larry finally decides what will happen to Piper after meeting Alex for the first time. Red's plan to retrieve her kitchen goes awry, and Piper is forced to stand up to another inmate. Yep, that's about right. There are no explicit backstories in this episode, which would usually be a downer for me because I really love the backstories. But this episode is so fun, and I think it highlights so much of what Orange does right that I don't even miss the backstories too much. This episode feels almost like a reward. It's a payoff for all that we've learned so far about the ladies. We have Michael Trim back again as the director of this episode. As we know, he's directed 11 episodes of Orange, with the most recent one being the Fucksgiving episode. He also directed the pilot, so it's kind of nice to see him directing the season finale also, as sort of like a bookend to the season. He has also directed many other iconic episodes ahead, so we will be seeing him again. We also have some heavy hitters on as writers for this week's episode. I guess since it was the finale, they were pulling out all the stops. So first up, we have Tara Herman. She's probably best known for producing the TV show Glow, but she also wrote 6 episodes of Orange, including some of my faves coming up. Jenji Cohen, the creator of Orange is the New Black, is also listed as head writer on this episode. Jenji is a legend, working on hit shows as far back as Mad About You in the 90s, but she's probably best known for her work on the TV show Weeds, as well as one of my favorite shows of all time, Orange is the New Black. And last but not least, we also have Piper Kerman herself listed as a lead writer on this episode. Piper is the real-life person who lived a version of the life that we see Piper Chapman going through in Orange. Piper Kerman also wrote a book about her time in a women's prison and all of the real people that she met there. If you haven't already, I encourage you to go out and pick up her book, also titled Orange is the New Black. And so I would like to take just a sec to thank Piper for sharing her story with us, and Jenji for bringing that story to the main stage. Meeting these women through our TV screens and learning about their lives and their stories, I think left many of us forever changed for the better. So thank you both for making this happen. And as I always say, I know that there's more than one person in a writer's room, so I'd like to give a shout out to the entire writing team. Thank you all for writing such a great show. You guys told the stories that were not being told, and for that, we thank you. IMDb rated this episode an 8.8. This is actually the highest rated episode of Orange so far, and I think it's really well deserved, but we'll get into it. As always, at the end of this pod, I will give my personal episode rating for this episode, but I encourage you guys to go ahead and write your episode rating in the comments as well so that we can get an idea of what we the people think is actually the rating on this episode. Okay, so let's get into it. When the episode opens up, we are in the chapel with Sophia and Sister Ingalls as they are holding the Christmas Pageant auditions. And again, I hope you guys are going back and rewatching these episodes because you've really got to see the silliness that goes on with these auditions for yourself. Some of my favorite clips happen here. I really like it when the girls get to have a little bit of fun and get to be a little bit lighter. So Sophia and Sister Ingalls are having a hard time agreeing on who should actually be cast in the Christmas pageant, but the prison's coordinator tells them basically, you guys need to figure it out or I will do it for you. So the show throws on some Christmas time in Hollis, Queens, as we get a montage of all of these auditions for the Christmas pageant from some of our favorite inmates at Litchfield. Gina comes out on stage moonwalking. Nikki comes out and starts to tell Mama Red's joke about the penguin and the farmer. Chang has her shoes off and she's doing this, I don't know, interpretive dance. Leanne gets up there and starts doing animal sound impressions. And Sophia looks at Sister Ingalls like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Then we see Lorna get up there and she starts to sing the Christmas carol, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. But she's singing it not well, but very sincerely. I think that the actress who plays Lorna is doing a low-key amazing job here because you can see that she's really trying and wants to do well, even though she's not. She's not doing well, but she is trying her hardest. So shout out to the actress who plays Lorna, Yael Stone. She's amazing. One of my favorites on the show, obviously. I've said it from episode 1, but it's the little things that she does. Like here, she's a very good actress. Amazing. Boo gets up there and she's singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which then transitions over to Yoga Jones, who's singing Joy to the World. And then we get Cindy, who pulls her afro pick out of her hair, using it as a fake microphone as she beatboxes and performs Jingle Bells. The Christmas Time in Hollis Queen starts back up again, and we see Flocka and Maritza auditioning, doing their little dancey dance. You really have to see it. Then we see DeMarco, who we haven't seen in a long time, also singing Jingle Bells, except hers is a little bit more jazzy. Then we see Tasty's audition, and she's singing Go Tell It on the Mountain, which I never really thought of as a Christmas song, but I guess, yeah, it's literally talking about Jesus Christ being born. So yeah, Christmas song. Okay, go Tasty. And Tasty is effortlessly killing it. So shout out my girl Danielle Brooks, very talented. You guys should definitely go check her out in The Color Purple. She can actually sing very well, as can many of the actresses on this cast. To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised that they never did a musical episode because a lot of these actresses can actually sing for real, for real. So much talent in this cast. It's ridiculous. So shout out Danielle Brooks because you were just casually singing, but you low-key killed that audition. The next person to audition is Suzanne, who comes out doing some twirls and tricks. Sophia and Sister Ingalls do not seem very impressed, but Suzanne is trying her best. She just wants to be a part of the show, okay? The last person to audition for the Christmas pageant is Tiffany, and she gets up on stage and she says, "Be not afraid, for behold, I bring good tidings of great joy." And that's when the prison coordinator says, "Thank you, Doggett. I assume by your choice of material, you're interested in the part of an angel?" And Tiffany's like, "Yeah, you're right, because last year y'all made me the ox, and the year before that I was the ass." And so Tiffany says, "So I don't know about y'all, but I'm really starting to feel like you're trying to assassinate my character." Tiffany is so funny accidentally. That scene cuts, and then we're in the hallway as Piper is running to catch up with Mr. Healy. It turns out Piper is asking him for a marriage request form, to which he tells her, "You need a form and my approval, which you do not have." Which is kind of wild because Piper has to go through Mr. Healy, basically asking him for a favor, for a special privilege, after the way she's been treating him and the way that he's been treating her. I don't know if he's the right person to be asking favors from, but it's also kind of messed up that he has such control over her that she can't even get married without his approval. That sounds kind of crazy to me, especially because we know that Mr. Healy has a bias. What if she wanted to marry a woman? We know he wouldn't approve that. And that's kind of crazy that that decision is left in his hands. Mr. Healy tells Piper, "Marriage is a privilege. You are not entitled to it. And to use one of your own delightful phrases, go fuck yourself," as he eats his little Funyun and walks away. And Piper is just left to stand there looking dumb because she knows she put herself in this position. I mean, it doesn't help that he has a bias, but she also didn't help herself either with the way she was speaking to him, especially considering he's basically her lifeline. Over in the kitchen, we see Caputo approach Red and he's asking her, "What part of out of the kitchen effective immediately did you not understand?" So it's official. Caputo has kicked Red out of the kitchen, which seems like really bad timing to me, being that it's Christmas and the women have to eat. Red stands her ground. She says, "Without my produce order, I have to replan the whole holiday menu. I can't sit on the bench all day while you play out this little power trip. We'll all be eating sardines for Christmas." But Caputo basically tells her, "Listen, get out of the kitchen or you won't be eating much of anything because you will be in the shoe." That's when C.O. O'Neill walks in with Gloria and says, "Ooh, it feels serious in here." Yeah, girl, you done walked in on something. That's when Caputo tells Gloria, "You're reassigned to the kitchen. Head cook. Queen Bee. You start now." Meanwhile, Red is giving him the death stare, but it's not only anger. You can see sadness there also. She looks like she's about to cry. Another great performance by the actress who plays Red, Kate Mulgrew. Beautiful. That's when Gloria asks Caputo, can I bring my people? Like, can I bring my friends to come help me in the kitchen? And Caputo says, yeah, sure, whatever you need to do, just get the forms from O'Neill. Red tells Caputo, this is bullshit and you know it. This whole place will fall apart when I'm gone. Caputo doesn't want to hear it though. He grabs Red by the arm and escorts her out of the kitchen. Over in Fig's office, she's sitting there on the side of her desk with her skirt hiked up as she questions Bennett about the drugs that he found coming in from the produce truck. If we remember, Mendez told Bennett to stop the truck and intercept the drugs delivery so that he could be the hero. Let's see how that works out for him. Bennett tries to tell Fig that he had a hunch that drugs were coming in through the boxes, and so that's why he went into the truck before they even got to the gate. And that's where he messed up, because Fig quickly finds the holes in his argument, saying, so you didn't find drugs in the kitchen or on prison grounds. Fig goes on to say, you know, your intentions were so good here, but from what you're telling me, Neptune's produce did not bring drugs into the prison. You did. So because Bennett found the drugs in the truck before they actually got into the campus of the prison, technically, when he got the drugs out of the truck and brought them to Caputo, he was in fact the one who brought the drugs into the prison. But Fig is not trying to bust his balls over this. She tells him, John, you're one of the good guys. I know that. So I want to protect you. She tells him that she thinks it's best if he doesn't fill out a report for this. Even though we know Fig's MO is to keep everything hush-hush, she does not want the warden to know, so no. She's encouraging Bennett to not file a report, and instead, she's basically offering him hush money, saying, you know what? I'm going to authorize incentive pay. That's an extra $130 a month. And then she leans down to touch him on the thigh, saying, now you go do your job and let me take it from here. Girl, this would not fly today. I know later on in the show we get into some Me Too territory, but this right here is a little bit Me Too-ish itself, to be honest. Completely inappropriate. In the next scene, we're outside of the prison with Larry, and he's visiting his parents, telling them that he and Piper have decided to get married pretty soon. And his parents are shocked. They literally freeze and do not say a word for a moment before they ask him, why are you rushing things? And he basically tells them that he wants to start his life, he wants to commit, and he wants their commitment to be taken seriously. His father says to him, so take it seriously. You need a paper for that? His father encourages him to just wait and see how things turn out with Piper's stay. And his mom pipes in with, and if you meet someone else in the meantime, like that ain't so bad. Looks like mom is trying to steer him away from Piper. Larry insists, I don't want to be with anyone else. I love Piper and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. Larry tells his parents he loves Piper and all of her ways. That's when his mom says, yeah, she's had some interesting ways so far. Girl ways, boy ways, drug ways. Damn, mom. Larry's dad says to him, I get it. She's a natural blonde. She's exciting. She's exotic for you. I get it. His father then goes on to say, but exotic is for pets and vacations. It's not for making a life. His dad is actually asking all the right questions. He says, she's exciting. I'll give you that. But does she share your values? Will she be a good mother? Does she make you feel good about yourself? These are the right questions. But Larry doesn't answer them very confidently. He's like, yeah, I think so. Larry's mother again asks him, why are you in such a hurry? Are you afraid she's going to meet someone else? And Larry just sighs as the scene transitions us back to the prison, and we see that very someone else, Alex, is walking into the library to sit with Piper. Alex jokes around with Piper, calling her the invisible woman because she hasn't seen much of her since they had that conversation about their futures together. But that's when Piper looks up and tells her with no joy at all on her face, I'm getting married. And Alex is like, you've been getting married since before you got here. Like, what's so different now? What's your point? Alex tells Piper, say what you really mean. Piper takes a beat and she says, I pick him. I pick Larry. To which Alex says, of course you do. Piper tells Alex, I love you too, but we both know I don't have the balls to free fall through life with you. To which Alex says, no, you don't. Piper says to Alex, well, at least I made a decision, right? Aren't you proud of me? And that's when Alex says, Piper, fuck you. Yeah, you've made a decision, but what that means going forward is that you may not come running to me again. Not with your problems, not with your love, not with your need or sadness or anger, or even your laundry when it's not specifically your laundry day. You may never come to me again, ever. And then Alex gets up and walks away, leaving Piper tearfully watching her as she goes, clearly questioning her decision. Over in the cafeteria, we're at a table with Tiffany and her friends, including Leanne and Angie. And Angie is asking Tiffany if she's learned her lines for the Christmas play yet. And Tiffany's like, I don't know, because I can't concentrate with Satan's Girl Scout skipping around. Talking about Piper. Tiffany tells the ladies that she's been plotting her revenge and she's figured it out. She says Piper does not need God. Tiffany said that was a misinterpretation. She goes on to say, I went back to my book to find some answers. Luke 19:27, Jesus said, but those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. Tiffany feels like that's a sign. A sign for what? That you need to slay Piper? I don't know if that's the best choice. Before we leave that table, Tiffany makes a comment about the eggs. Apparently, Gloria's eggs are a little bit too spicy for her, but we'll see how other people feel about them. Over at another table, we're with Nikki, Morello, and Boo as they're picking names for Secret Santa. Nikki explains that they're included on the Secret Santa, as well as Red, Norma, Gina, and she's adding in Alex this year. Nikki asks them if she should include Chapman, and Morello says, yeah, I think she'd give good gifts. But Boo doesn't like it. She's like, Secret Santa is supposed to be about family. You really think that Chapman and Voss are family? But Morello doesn't mind. She's like, I think it's nice. We don't have Mercy anymore, or Trisha, so why not add to the family? And Nikki says, let's throw them in. Expand the circle. It's fucking Christmas. And Boo's like, yeah, all right, as she's paying more attention to Morello's eggs at the moment. She asks her, hey, are you going to finish those eggs? And Lorna damn near cuts Boo with her plastic knife, saying, no, you can't have these. They're good this morning. It looks like Morello likes Gloria's cooking, and so does Boo since she's looking for seconds. But that's when Nikki looks a little bit worried, saying, do not say that to Red, whatever you do. As far as we're concerned, breakfast was a mess. Capiche? Like, let's not tell Red that this was actually good. Red needs to feel like everything is falling apart without her, so we cannot tell her otherwise. Back in Fig's office, she's having another meeting, this time with Chapman. If we think back to the last episode, we remember that Fig was called by a news reporter trying to figure out why Larry was on NPR talking about how this prison doesn't have any programs. So Fig has brought Piper in to try to make her aware of the programs that they do have. She tells Piper, you're a first-time offender, with a short sentence, and you're white, which means there are a lot of programs here that you probably are not aware of because you're lucky enough that you don't need them. And so Fig goes on to tell Piper that they've actually allocated some funds to bring back the GED program in the new year. We'll see if that happens. And so Fig comes out and tells Piper that basically she listened to Larry's show and there's a journalist that's writing an article based on that. She's just concerned because she feels like he got some of the facts wrong. And so Fig provides Piper with a list of talking points that she can share with her fiancé in case he decides to do another little interview so that he can speak to all that she's trying to do for the prison. You know, spin that story back in her direction. And Piper takes the list saying, of course, I'd be happy to make sure that he's up to speed. I mean, that would only serve all of us, right? Piper then goes on and says, but you know, I'm not the only one who's been talking to Larry. Counselor Healy has spoken with him. About to throw Mr. Healy under the bus, I see. And Fig is confused. She's like, well, why was Healy speaking to your husband? And Piper tells the truth. She says to Fig, he called to tell him that I was having a lesbian affair with another inmate. But Piper says that's okay. It's probably just another case of misinformation. That's when Fig realizes that Chapman is up to something. And so she says, what's your angle, Chapman? And so Piper starts. She says, you know, you keep referring to Larry as my husband, but we're not married yet, although we hope to be. And so she goes on and asks Fig directly for that marriage request form, adding, and of course, your approval. And then Piper says that she'll be happy to make sure that her new husband is up to speed with all of the great work they're doing here at Litchfield. A little quid pro quo. A little bit. Fig agrees, though, and says, I'm sure we could arrange something. Back in the kitchen, we're with the Latinas as they're starting to prepare some food. Daya says, all of us in the kitchen making tamales, it almost feels like Christmas at home. And so she's working on the tamales with Maria, Flaca, and Maritza. Flocka says in Spanish, yeah, it's just like Christmas, except my Uncle Fernando isn't around to stick his hands down my pants. To which Daya says, please speak English. And Flocka's like, how about you learn Spanish? Come on, Daya. And it's here where we get a little bit of Maritza's backstory when she tells them that her daughter lives with her cousin in a women's only collective. So here's one of the few orange flaws, Maritza's backstory. Here we hear about Maritza having a daughter who lives with her cousin, and later on, we will see her daughter. After that, they pretend as if her daughter does not exist. We hear nothing else about her daughter, nothing else about her being a mom, and that's a little bit frustrating. But listen, nothing's 100% perfect, okay? So we're gonna just let them have this one. When Nikki walks in on the Latinas working in the kitchen, she says, immigration, hands where I can see them. Oh my God, Nikki. Bad joke. Aleda says as much, looking over at Nikki saying, funny cabrona, meaning funny bitch. Nikki's in there looking for Gina and Norma so that she can do Secret Santa with them. But she asks Gloria if the squirrel and the silent one are nearby. When Nikki meets up with Gina and Norma, they draw their names for Secret Santa, but then they also start discussing Red. They're worried about her. Apparently she's not going to work, and if she doesn't go to work enough, they're going to end up putting her in the shoe. But Nikki's at a loss. She's like, what am I supposed to say to her? That it's all going to be okay? She's a very bright woman. She knows how fucked she is. But in the end, Nikki says, I'll see what I can do. The child becomes the parent. Over in the mailroom, the COs are going through the inmates' mail. Apparently they open up the mail and read it and everything before the inmates even get it. Apparently Daya got an interesting letter. One of the COs starts to read it aloud, imitating what the man who wrote it might have sounded like. She says, Dayanara, I think of your body all the time. I'll be doing something else, something normal, like driving my car or making spaghetti, and then I'll see you there in my brain, naked. I can barely write this letter, I get so turned on. You cast a spell on me, and baby, I hope it's a spell that is never undone. Until we see each other again. And she says it's signed Hot for You, but with the number 4. And I'm pretty sure we all know who that's from. Mendez, who's clearly got it really bad for Daya. O'Neill says, poor schmuck. I guess he doesn't know Mendez stuck it in her. Bro, that is Mendez, but you don't know that. It's okay. And that's when C.O. Bell opens up a letter for Voss. Apparently, it's from Larry, Chapman's fiance, and he's asking Alex to add him to her visitation list. Apparently, he's telling Alex that they need to talk. The COs are all trying to figure out why Larry wants to talk to Voss, and all they can guess is that maybe he wants to organize a threesome. But no, that's not it. Spoiler alert, there will be a threesome, but not with those 3. But we'll get there. Over in the multi-purpose room, we see Red making a cup of noodles in the shared microwave. She's not even going to eat the cooking of the other women. She'd rather eat her noodles than eat from Gloria's kitchen. When Nikki comes in, she's trying to get Red to pick her name for the Secret Santa, but Red says she's not in the mood. She eventually changes the subject to breakfast, asking Nikki, how was it? And Nikki, trying to be a good daughter, says, ugh, spicy. And my potatoes were cold. You know, trying to throw Red a bone. But even that's not enough for Red. She says, but it wasn't a disaster. And so Nikki tries to please Red again. She says, I heard that someone found a long black hair in her eggs, but it went unconfirmed. And Red looks heartbroken that it hasn't all fallen apart without her. Nikki's like, what? Should we have all gone on a hunger strike? And so Red decides to be a bit racist, saying they all work in kitchens now, don't they? They pop out of a trunk of a car and learn to fry an egg. God bless America. Jesus, Red. Nikki says, you can't blame Gloria. She's just trying to make the best of a bad situation. Word, Gloria is not the bad guy here. There's no need for all that. Nikki tells Red, you're tougher than woodpecker lips. You're going to be okay. And then she hands Red a name from the Secret Santa sock, saying, just get whoever it is something nice. It's good karma. And sometimes that shit comes back around. Elsewhere in the prison, we're in the middle of counts, and that's where it's revealed to us that apparently Tasty is Piper's new bunkmate. Now, I don't rewatch season 1 very often, so this is not as fresh in my memory and really fun to see this pairing. Tasty says to Piper, heard you broke up with your girl. And Piper says, wow, Twitter's got nothing on prison. Tasty asks Piper if she feels bad about the breakup, and Piper simply says, I did what I had to do. And so Tasty asks, well, is she mad? Piper says, yep. And so Tasty says, is she mad enough to leave a dead rat on your locker? And Piper's like, what? And Tasty just casually points to the dead rat sitting on the tabletop in their bunk area. Piper jumps up and says, what the fuck? No, she didn't do that. Do you think that thing just crawled up here and died? But Tasty bends down to get a closer look and says to Piper, no, this is a message rat. Someone say they gonna kill you. And say it right here. And Tasty holds up a note that was under the rat in all caps saying, you're gonna die, Amalekite. Except they used the wrong form of your. And Tasty points it out saying, see, they meant your apostrophe R-E as in you are gonna die. But this is some ignorant bitch ass shit. Like, if you're going to threaten somebody, can we at least be grammatically correct? That's when Piper asks Tasty, what's an Amalekite? Tasty tells Piper, I don't know, I think it's some Bible stuff, but she ends up calling Black Cindy for a second opinion. When Tasty said that she thinks that it's Bible stuff, that's when it clicked for Piper. She says under her breath, I bet it was that crazy fucking hillbilly. Pennsatucky. Ding, ding, ding. Correct answer. When Cindy comes over, they ask her what's an Amalekite, and she gets a serious look on her face saying, oh, they're real baddies in the Bible, attacking everybody, preying on the weak and shit, a war tribe. Cindy goes on to tell Piper that in Samuel, God told Saul to kill them all, even the babies, even the cows. They're so bad, their cows had to die. Damn, they're parts of the Bible that are no joke, some serious violence and vengeance type stuff. And so that's when Piper says, this is nuts. I have to tell someone. But Tasty advises against it, telling Piper that they're going to end up putting her in shoe, quote unquote, for her own protection, just so they don't have to deal with it. Cindy doubles down and says, that's true. You got to handle this yourself. Piper's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And Cindy doesn't hesitate to say, kill that motherfucker. And with that, she's out. The scene ends with Tasty throwing the rat in the trash can, completely unbothered, saying, I seen dead everything. Damn, I hate that she's so desensitized to it. Over by Red's bed, she's conspiring with Gina and Norma, trying to sabotage Gloria's kitchen. For whatever reason, Red does not think that Gloria can handle feeding the entire prison. Red feels like her way is the way, and there's nothing that Gloria can do to even come close to what Red used to do, in Red's mind. And so instead of helping Gloria or telling her the things that she needs to know to not fail, Red decides to have Gina and Norma sabotage Gloria's kitchen instead. She encourages them to overcook the food, to oversalt the food. She tells them that it needs to be so bad that the inmates will revolt. But that's when Gina lets Red know they're not allowed anywhere near food prep. Which, with what Red is trying to do with this sabotage plan, I think that was a smart move for Gloria to not have them anywhere near the food. We don't need saboteurs in our kitchen. But that's no biggie for Red. She's like, well, then serve slower. Serve so slow that the meal times get screwed up. It'll throw the whole camp off. The last thing that we hear Red say to Gina and Norma is, you need to fuck with that kitchen. Which transitions us beautifully to Gloria in the kitchen also telling Gina and Norma, if you fuck with this kitchen, I'll have you out of here so fast, you'll think your ass grew wheels. So that's another great example of how this show does transitions so well, this time through dialogue. Very cute. Gloria tells Gina and Norma she's got 4 kids. She knows every trick in the book. So stop thinking you're slick, thinking you're going to mess things up. You're not. Gloria goes on and tells them both, now I kept you here because I know you know your shit. It's not your fault that Red lost the kitchen, but we all know that this is one of the good jobs. Don't let Red take you down with her. And she ends her little heart-to-heart with, all right, vamos, let's go. Get to work, ladies. Yeah, I think we all think of Red as being the queen of the kitchen, but honestly, this is the beginning of Gloria's reign in the kitchen. And if I remember correctly, she's in here for a minute herself. So even though I feel like the kitchen is Red's domain, it's nice to see another one of the prison moms taking it over for a little bit. So over in the cafeteria, we have an unusual sight. Piper is sitting over at the black table, which I guess makes sense since Tasty is her roommate right now. But knowing what we know about Litchfield so far, it's a pretty funny sight to see. So Piper is sitting at the table with Tasty, Cindy, Janae, and Poussey, and she's trying to rationalize Tiffany's threatening note to her. The way she figures, the whole thing was just to get her attention so she would go to Bible study with her. That's wishful thinking. Poussey says, yeah, you gonna die was really vague, like totally open to interpretation. Girl, no. Janae tells Piper, you know that tweakhead is coming for you. You better prepare. And so that's when the girls start giving Piper some notes on how to stand her ground in a fight with Tiffany. Cindy tells Piper that she should hit her in the cooch. It hurts just as much on girls as it does on guys. Tasty tells her that if they're punching, she should go for the nose. Poussey then tells her that when Tiffany is doubled over, Piper should elbow her straight to the back, which is a bit of a heartbreaking foreshadowing that I don't really want to talk about just yet. But wow, they really had Poussey say that just then. Okay, we'll stick a pin in that. We'll unfortunately be back. But Piper thinks that she doesn't have to fight. And so the girls are all riled up about Piper's fight with Tiffany. But Piper is like, listen, guys, with Red, I just had to come up with a creative solution. So maybe I can do something like that here. Piper thinks that she needs to figure out something that Tiffany really needs. And so she asks the table, what is something that Tiffany really needs? And they all say in unison, new teeth. It's true. She literally asked Piper for some back when Piper got on the whack pack. She was all like, let's see what you can do. Well, Piper, let's see what you can do. After mealtime, we see Daya still in the cafeteria cleaning up the tables when Bennett walks in telling her, he's in love with you. And she's like, what are you talking about? And Bennett says, Mendez, he's madly in love with you. Clearly you gave an amazing performance because the man is head over heels. And then he says, well, unless it wasn't a performance. And that's when Daya says, you think I liked it? Bennett says, I don't know. All I know is that he sure did, and I had to hear all about it, and now I can barely look at you. Daya's like, John, it's our baby. But Bennett figures that the baby can go live with Mendez since he'll probably think it's his love child anyways. But Daya explains to Bennett that she'll make them do a DNA test, and that way they'll find out that the baby is not his, and Cesar can come pick it up from the hospital and bring it to Bennett. But Bennett is worried. He tells Daya that if the DNA test proves it's not his, they're going to want to know how you got pregnant in prison. And then we're back to where we started. Daya, it was a bad plan. And you had sex with him. But Daya reiterates, John, I love you. I hate him. I only love you. You've got to know that. But that's when the words leave Bennett's lips. He says, I can't do this. And Daya looks broken. She's like, what? But he doesn't clarify. He simply tells her that she missed a spot and then leaves the room cold. Although, spoiler alert, although I was shocked in real time during my first watch through of this show, I think I kind of always felt like he was going to come back. And him not coming back really disappointed me. But I guess he was honest with Daya, at least here. Over in the visitation room, we see Larry, and he looks like he's stewing, just breathing really hard and unable to sit still. Apparently, he's waiting for his visit with Alex. When Alex approaches the visitation table, Larry stands up and he's like, whoa, you're tall. Taller than him. She scoffs and says, I've been told, before she tousles her hair and sits down. Larry has a hard time starting the conversation to the point that Alex asks him, got you all flustered? He basically goes on to tell Alex that she needs to stop playing games with Piper and stay away from her. Alex says, not a problem. She's all yours, champ. Are we done here? And she gets up to walk out. But he's like, whoa, hold on. Larry goes on and says to Alex, suddenly she's all mine when you have been working her over since she got here? And Alex says, working her over? Are you fucking kidding me? She came to me. She dragged me into that chapel and fucked me. To which all Larry can do is swallow hard like, oh, my bad. Maybe this isn't about you at all. Maybe. And Alex sits back looking super smug. Like, yeah, so deal with that, lover boy. Before she says to him, surprised me too. She never used to be the aggressor. I guess it was a new color she was trying on. Or maybe she was just bored. Who knows? But Alex insists she's done. Piper is all Larry's. He can enjoy her. And Larry's like, well, I will. Larry tells Alex, we're getting married. Alex says, great, with a forced smile. And then she goes on to say, so why are you here? Larry says, I wanted to meet you. Alex says, Larry, my heart is with you. She's hot. She's read everything. And we both know what she's like in bed. But she is fucked up. I know it. And you do too. Or else you wouldn't even be here warning me to stay away. I'm not your problem. And with that, Alex gets up and walks out of the visitation room. And she's right. She's not the problem. Piper is the one who is in a relationship. Piper is the one who decided to cheat. Piper is the one who owes Larry an explanation, not Alex. Knowing that Piper had a fiance and doing what they did, still not cool. But that's mostly on Piper. Alex doesn't owe Larry anything. In the next scene, Tiffany, Angie, and Leanne walk into the bathroom while Piper is taking a shower. Angie stands in the doorway to keep a lookout. Meanwhile, Tiffany opens up the shower curtain on Piper, completely exposing her. And when Piper tries to cover herself, Tiffany says, don't be trying to act all modest. You're about as indecent as they come. And that's when Piper looks like she realizes that she's in danger. She's like, okay, let me dry off. Can we talk about this? That's when Tasty comes into the bathroom about to take her shower, but she's told by Angie that she can't come in. Bathroom's full. Try back later. Tasty sucks her teeth and looks around Angie to see what's going on. And she sees that Piper has been cornered by Tiffany and Leanne. But she just shakes her head and walks away. Piper tells Tiffany, I am not going to let you intimidate me. What do you want? And that's when Tiffany says, I want you to feel the same pain on your body as you have made me feel in my heart. And then Tiffany holds up this razor blade, telling Piper it's sharp. Do you want to see? And then Tiffany takes the blade and cuts herself across her own hand, completely slicing it down the middle. I mean, Piper must be terrified. She's completely naked, completely vulnerable, in the shower, defenseless, with these three girls cornering her. And now Tiffany has a razor blade and she's actively cutting herself, so who knows what the heck she plans on doing to Piper. Terrifying. After Tiffany finishes slicing herself, she takes her bloody hand and rubs it all over Piper's chest. Disgusting. And that's when C.O. Donaldson enters the bathroom, telling Angie out. I'm assuming that when Tasty left, she told Donaldson or some other CO to go check on Piper. And I'm glad that she did, because these girls are crazy. Donaldson tells Angie and the crew that this is not their assigned bathroom. They are out of bounds, so get out. And they start to leave, but before Tiffany does, she whispers to Piper saying, I guess next time we're going to have to get more creative. But that's okay. I got some other ideas. Then she finally leaves the bathroom, leaving blood on the shower stall and all over Piper. Piper is clearly shaken as she tries to shower Tiffany's blood off of her. I mean, geez, that's a lot. I feel really bad for Piper here. I can't even imagine being in that position. I do have to give a shout out to the actress who plays Tiffany here, though. She played that scene so well. So shout out to Taryn Manning, the actress who plays Tiffany, because she kills this part. First of all, just a little aside about Tiffany. In these early seasons, it's very hard to get behind Tiffany. She's got so much going on and she has a lot of growth to do. But by the end of the show, with the way that Taryn plays this character and the way that the character is written, man, do they turn the audience around. By the end of this show, I am crying over Tiffany. I love her so very much. But in this particular scene, you can really see the acting chops on Taryn Manning, the actress who plays Tiffany. Tiffany was looking downright terrifying and Taryn killed it. Reminded me a lot of the Joker, to be honest. Just absolutely psychologically terrifying. So great job to you, girl. You did that thing. As Piper is showering off Tiffany's blood, Tasty comes back in the bathroom to check on her, asking, are you okay? But Piper says, no, I am not equipped to deal with this. I have to tell someone. But Tasty says, please, she is a bitty thing. You can take her easy. And when you do, the score is settled. Girl, stop being a bitch-ass bitch. I mean, I guess that's one way to do a pep talk, but I don't blame Piper for being scared. This situation is crazy and I would be overwhelmed too. In the next scene, we see a little snippet of Tasty and everyone else in the dorm sleeping that night, except for Piper. She's sitting up on guard, probably terrified to close her eyes. She doesn't know when Tiffany's coming or how, so I guess I don't blame her, but I feel really bad for her. Over in the kitchen, also that night, Red is sabotaging. She apparently still has keys to the kitchen, and so she's gone in there in the middle of the night while no one is there, We see Red pouring crap in the fryer, over-salting the rice, and even putting oil all over the inside of the ovens, which transitions us to the next morning as Gina is turning on the ovens to prepare for the day. Elsewhere in the kitchen, Flocka, Maritza, and Daya are practicing some little dancey dance, which they are before their time. Too bad this isn't during TikTok time. These girls probably would have known all the dances. As they're practicing their dance, Bennett is standing by, but he's starting to get annoyed and eventually tells them that they need to get back to work. Now. So the girls break it up and start to go back to work. But Flocka says to Maritza in Spanish, Daya needs to tell her boyfriend to lighten up. To which Daya says, I understand some Spanish, Flocka. He's not my boyfriend. And that hit Bennett's ear because he comes in saying, what'd you say, inmate? Daya's like, nothing. Bennett says, that's right. You say nothing. You have nothing to say. Like, don't be blowing up our spot. Why do they even know what's going on? Which is true. In his position, it would be pretty terrifying to know that the other inmates knew what was going on. Any one of them could blow up his spot at any time. And that's when we see Gina at the back of the kitchen opening up one of the ovens, but she gets hit in the face with a giant flame of fire. She drops to the floor trying to do her stop, drop, and roll, and Maritza sprays her with the fire extinguisher, but she still sustains burns that were caused by Red. Because the reason why there were flames coming out of the oven was because Red put oil in there. So in her effort to try to sabotage Gloria's kitchen, she ended up literally burning one of her closest friends. Horrible. When Caputo comes down to the kitchen to see what's going on, he finds out that Gina was burned all over her arm and up to her clavicle. And so he lays into Gloria. He says, Mendoza, part of your job is to make sure these ovens are cleaned properly. Gloria simply says, I did clean those ovens. Caputo says, well, apparently not good enough. To which Gloria says plainly, yeah, clearly. Like, she knows what's up. She knows she's been sabotaged. And so does Caputo, if he's honest with himself. During all the fire hubbub, Bennett instinctively went to make sure that Daya was okay. And now that everything has calmed down, he's double checking to make sure she's good. And she says she is. He still reaches up to touch her cheek affectionately. But Caputo caught him that time and says, Bennett, we have more to discuss. When Caputo pulls Bennett out into the hallway to have their conversation, he's looking at him as if he's his son and he's a disappointed father. And so as Bennett and Caputo are talking and walking in the hallway, Bennett eventually tells Caputo that Fig told him not to file a report about the drugs. And Caputo is pissed. He tells Bennett she is cutting off your balls to protect her own, which isn't wrong. Caputo encourages Bennett to write the report anyways and bring it to Caputo directly. He figures that way Bennett didn't file the report. He did. Caputo ends the conversation with, this place fucking stinks. And Bennett says, well, yeah, we'll open up some windows, sir. And Caputo says, that's not what I meant, Bennett. That's not what I meant, before he walks away. It looks like Caputo is well aware of how damaging this place is, but it doesn't look like he's ready to do too much about it. Yet. Over in Piper's bunk, Boo has come to see her. Boo says, Merry Christmas, Chapman. And Piper's like, yeah, but it's not Christmas yet. Boo says, well, it came early for you this year. And Boo presents Piper with her Secret Santa present. The note on it says, thought you could use this. Love, your Secret Santa. And so Boo hands it to her saying, Merry Christmas, you big ho ho ho, before she walks away from the area. When Piper opens up Boo's Secret Santa gift, it reveals that it's the screwdriver. The same screwdriver that Piper stole accidentally from the electrical shop. The same screwdriver that she hid under her bed and Boo stole from her. Well, it looks like Boo has returned it to her right when she just might need it. Because she's got Tiffany on her back. And honestly, Piper can use the protection. Piper's eyes get super wide, but she takes it and she stuffs that screwdriver down her shirt. I guess it's better to know that it's there in case you need it, rather than not have it. Over by Red Storm, Norma is showing Red that she actually picked her name out of the Secret Santa exchange. But none of that matters now that you done burned our friend. She rips that paper up right in Red's face. Like, girl, you ain't getting no gift from me. Red says, I never meant to hurt anyone, Norma, least of all Gina. She's my daughter. You know that. But Norma throws those ripped up pieces of paper directly at Red before she walks away. And they're both crying. Red's actions have completely torn her prison family apart. I'm sure that wasn't her intention, but that's what's going on. As Norma walks out of that area, she walks right past Alex's bunk as Nikki is walking into it. Nikki is holding a vision board collage for her and Lorna. showing how their entire lives could be together, including a trip to Bora Bora Bora. Alex says, whoa, you put a lot of work into that. Who knew you were so fucking thoughtful? Jesus. Nikki says, well, yeah, I have my moments. Do you think she'll like it? So I guess Nikki has Lorna for her Secret Santa. And I think that is a really thoughtful gift for Lorna. All that girl ever wants is love. And Nikki loves her. And so come to find out, Alex is Nikki's Secret Santa, but she doesn't know what to get her. She's not very crafty, and so she's at a loss. But Nikki tells her, hey, I think I know what I want for Christmas. As she proceeds to start rubbing on Alex's leg and eventually puts her hand down Alex's pants, consensually. Elsewhere in the prison, we see Red getting another sad cup of noodles, but she rethinks it and decides to go ahead and join the cafeteria line to try some of Gloria's cooking. But when it's Red's turn for food, they refuse to serve her. Maria looks her directly in the face as she passes the next tray to the person behind Red, saying next. And I know Red has treated other people this way, but I low-key do still feel bad for her here. She looks so sad. So I feel bad for her, even though I know she's treated other people this way too. As Red's about to leave the line, she and Gloria lock eyes. And Gloria gives her the look of, yeah, I'm the jefe now. Yeah, girl, you are. Red just shakes her head and walks away. Over by the phone banks, Piper is on the phone with Larry telling him that she got the marriage forms all filled out. So that's good news. And Piper's like, yeah, it's good if I make it. And Larry's like, if you make it. Piper says, yeah, someone's trying to kill me. A Christian meth head. And Larry says, someone else is trying to kill you? And Piper's like, hey, this is not my fault. I didn't ask for this. And Larry finishes her statement saying, it just happened. The drama always happens to find you, doesn't it? You just need it. And Piper's like, whoa, where did that come from? And that's when Larry tells her, I met Alex. And Piper's like, what do you mean you met Alex? And so Larry tells Piper that his plan was to tell Alex to stay away from Piper and for her to see that he was a real person that she was hurting. But then he realized that it was Piper who was doing all the hurting. True. True story. Your beef is not with Alex. Your beef is with Piper. But that's when Piper jumps in to defend herself, saying, whatever Alex said is a lie, Larry. She's a crazy, manipulative liar. And so that's when Larry tells Piper, I don't think I can be on your ride anymore. I don't think we share the same values. Why was I in such a hurry? Because I was afraid. But it looks like he's realized that you should not be with someone out of fear. It's true. Not a good reason. I'm glad he figured that one out. But Piper looks like she's heartbroken. Larry simply says, I'm sorry. Goodbye, Piper, before he hangs up the phone. And Piper is left there just devastated. When Piper gathers herself, she goes directly over to Alex, I guess to go yell at her about talking to Larry. But when she gets there, she sees Alex sitting up there with Nikki. And Alex says to Piper, are you kidding me right now? Get out. And even Nikki doubles down and says, you heard the lady. And Piper's looking like, I cannot believe this. I've lost my man. I can't talk to my woman. Apparently, I don't even have any friends here. She must feel totally alone and really scared. In the next scene, we are in the chapel and it is the night of the Christmas pageant. Piper walks in super out of it because we know she's running on no sleep and she's just lost practically her whole support system, so she's not well. When Mr. Healy walks in, he tries to make some small talk with Fig, but she clocks him real quick saying, Healy, if you ever call an inmate's family again with your lesbian witch hunt shit, I will destroy you. Your mail order bride will leave you and you will never work again. Get some fucking therapy, man. Before she walks away. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that Mr. Healy is the counselor because he needs a shit ton of therapy himself. When Mr. Caputo walks into the chapel, he has a bouquet of flowers. Apparently the flowers are for C.O. Fisher. You know, the one he has a crush on. He tells her that he was going to bring them to the hospital, but he thought he'd rather deliver them in person. So I guess she got sent to the hospital when Miss Claudette yoked her up last episode, but she's okay. She's good. C.O. Fisher takes the flowers and says thank you. That's really thoughtful. But then she quickly turns around and introduces Caputo to her boyfriend, Steven. Like, thanks, but also, by the way, I have a boyfriend. Please back up. Leave me alone. And Caputo says, oh, you know, great to meet you. Great to meet you. Gives him a good, strong handshake. But you can see that he's a little bit embarrassed by the fact that he was pining over this girl with a boyfriend because he for sure tried to get up out of that conversation as quickly as possible after that. The chapel lights go down and the Christmas pageant starts. The first inmates to come out are Tasty, Cindy, and Poussey, and they sing a beautiful and entertaining version of Joy to the World. Again, I hope you guys are going back to actually rewatch these episodes because scenes like this need to be seen. So good. As the girls are receiving their applause for their rendition of Joy to the World, Tasty and Cindy take their bows, but Poussey continues to sing. It looks like the spirit has moved her to get into a little Amazing Grace, which happens to be my grandma's favorite song in the whole wide world. So shout out to Grandma. She's the most amazing grandma you'd ever want to know, and this is her favorite song. Poussey absolutely kills this performance, and I love the ad-libs that Tasty and Black Cindy do. So cute, especially that Destiny's Child little Lost run. I know the Destiny's Child version of Amazing Grace when I hear it, as many times as I've sung along with that version. But I love how Tasty threw that in there. Hilarious, cracks me up every time. So shout out to the ladies for doing an amazing job vocally as well as comedically. I absolutely loved it. And also, again, why did we never get a complete musical episode? I would have loved that. There's way too much talent in this cast for us not to have been given a musical episode. They're so talented. Anyways, after their musical selections, we see another group of inmates up on the stage doing the Christmas Story play. It looks like Morello is playing the Virgin Mary. It looks like Boo is playing the ass this year. And Tiffany is the angel of death. No, I'm kidding. She's the angel. It's so funny as the audience is quieting down for them to start their play. You hear somebody in the audience yelling, "Shut the fuck up," which is hilariously ironic to me because we're in a chapel to see a Christmas play about the birth of Jesus and they're saying, "Shut the fuck up." It's ironically funny to me. Anyways. And so they start, and Morello is saying her lines up on stage about how she's having pains and it's time for the baby to be born. And so Rosa, who's playing Joseph, tells her to lie on down on the bed that he made from straw. But remember, we're in a prison, so that's when Flocka yells from the audience, "Oh yeah, lay down, Mary." And everybody starts cracking up. So eventually when they calm down, Mary lies down and they continue with the play. They then transition us all the way to the end of the play where the inmates are singing their finale song, "I Saw the Light." And so everyone is singing the chorus, and then there's a break in the music. Suzanne steps out front and she says nothing. Apparently, Suzanne's special part was a solo, but she's got stage fright and she can't do it. All of a sudden, they start to hear an unfamiliar voice singing from the other side of the stage, and come to find out, it's Norma. Norma, who does not speak, is now singing the solo for the Christmas pageant. And she's got a beautiful voice. Again, why did we not get a musical episode? As Norma is singing, Suzanne starts to hit herself in the head, as she sometimes does. But Tasty and Poussey grab her arms and stop her, comforting her instead. And so the ladies end up moving Norma right to center stage, like, "Have your moment, girl. Take your solo." And she does. It's a really nice moment, to be honest. As they're wrapping up that song, though, Piper decides to leave the chapel. Well, guess who saw her leave? Tiffany. And she follows her out as well. It turns out Piper walked all the way outside. Which, again, I don't know what the security measures are at this prison, but I'm surprised that she can get out here at night by herself like this. That doesn't seem very secure, but I digress. That's where we are. When Piper gets outside, Tiffany is closely behind, and Tiffany yells out, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" And Piper turns around saying, "Oh no, you do not want to fight with me right now, crazy. You do not." But as Piper is approaching Tiffany, Tiffany holds up a cross made out of wood, saying, "Oh no? Maybe you're right. I don't want to fight you. I want to end you. I want to end you right now." And Piper looks terrified. It is nighttime. They are the only two people outside in this sort of gated-in area. Practically everybody else, including the COs, are all in at the Christmas pageant, so there is no help coming. And Piper looks like she knows it. But that's when Mr. Healy steps outside the door. And Piper tells Tiffany, "You better stop. Mr. Healy is right over there." Tiffany doesn't even look over at Mr. Healy. She just sort of waves back like, "Hey, Mr. Healy." Unbothered, does not care that he is there. So Piper starts to yell desperately like, "Mr. Healy, hey, come help me, please." Piper yells over to him saying, "Mr. Healy, she's trying to kill me." Mr. Healy looks at Piper with the coldest eyes I have ever seen and walks back inside, saying nothing. I think that this is one of the most disgusting things that Mr. Healy ever did. Piper literally said that Tiffany is trying to kill her, and he didn't help. He didn't call for help. He literally ignored her. For all he knew, Tiffany could have killed Piper that night for real, but he doesn't seem to care. And to me, that's disgusting. When Mr. Healy walks back inside, Tiffany starts laughing maniacally and then reaches out with the cross, threateningly swiping at Piper. So I guess that's when Piper realized that she has to fight. She turns around and grabs that screwdriver out of her shirt. And Tiffany's like, whoa, look what you brought out to play. Piper says, you back the fuck off me. Tiffany says, you think I'm scared of you? Do you? I'm not scared of you, because I got God by my side. And then she slices Piper's hand with the cross, drawing blood and forcing her to drop her screwdriver. Tiffany continues and says, he told me that you ain't worth nothing. See? You see how he just works through me? And he wants me to smite you. Tiffany goes on and says, I see things. That's when she holds up her cross in a protective stance, calling Piper a she-devil. Tiffany tells Piper, that's what you are. You're the devil, and I am the angel of God. I mean, look at my dress. Have you seen it? How's that for poetry? This is a beautifully written scene with Tiffany literally dressed as an angel, quite literally trying to kill Piper. Tiffany goes on and says, because God loves me. He don't love you. Because you ain't worthy of God's love. You ain't worthy of nobody's love. Damn, Tiffany. Tiffany then says, so I think that it's time that you die. And then she lunges at Piper like she's going to attack her, but not before Piper kicks her in the crotch like Black Cindy told her to do, and then knocks her in the back like Poussey told her to do. Then Piper gets on top of Tiffany and starts punching her in the nose just like Tasty told her to do. The show starts to play a version of Come O Ye Faithful, sung by little children, as Piper is slamming into Tiffany with all of these punches straight to the face in the snow. So she's punching and they're singing, and it's a big bloody old mess. Eventually, it all fades to our orange screen, indicating the end of the episode. So that's the episode. So I guess that's how you do a Litchfield Christmas. As a reminder, IMDb rated this episode an 8.8, the highest of all of the episodes of season 1. I think that's well deserved, but let me think about my rating for a moment. This episode is probably one of my favorites because I really liked all of the fun parts, like the auditions in the front and the Christmas pageant in the end. It's really nice to see these actresses show off their other talents, and they have so many. So I thought that was really fun. I thought this episode had exceptionally good writing. I really like how all the stories kind of connected and came together. For instance, I think that the way that they had the drugs be the reason that Red is out of the kitchen now, and then that being the reason why Gloria is in charge of the kitchen now, and that being the reason why Red is trying to sabotage the kitchen, which is also the reason why Gina got burned. It's a very interesting and intricate domino effect of how things are happening around the prison. Similarly with Piper, we had Larry doing the NPR interview, which led that other guy to write the article, which called Fig Out, leading Fig to figure out who the heck Piper Chapman is, talking to her, and finding out how Healy has been acting. Well, then that caused Fig to have that conversation with Healy, which obviously made him not very happy to help Piper at the end there. I still think he was wrong for that, but I think we can understand how he got there. I also thought it was a really cool callback when Boo gave Piper the screwdriver for her Secret Santa gift. What a nice way to tie together the season. But yes, as I said in the introductory episode of this podcast, my favorite part of this show are the characters. And this episode showcased so many of the characters. And so for that reason, I think that this is going to be the first episode that I am going to give a 9. But that's just me. Don't forget to comment your favorite lines from the episode and let me know what your personal rating is for this week's episode. Mine again was a 9, my first 9 of the series. But what do you guys think? I would love to hear yours. Season 1 of Back to Litchfield and Orange is the New Black Rewatch podcast is in the books. We made it, y'all. Thank you all for coming with me on this journey back to Litchfield. I hope that you enjoyed this special double episode week. It's a little holiday gift from me to you. That said, I know there's a bit of a wait before we get into the next episode of Orange together, but let's take a look at the IMDb synopsis for season 2, episode 1 real quick. It's titled Thirsty Bird, and it says, Piper is awakened in solitary and without being given any information, is forced to board a bus and a plane to whereabouts unknown. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Not my favorite episode, but we'll get into it. I hope you all enjoyed this special double episode week. As always, thanks for hanging with me in Yadda Space, and happy holidays to you and your families. I'll see y'all in the new year. Just so you know, I've been having such a good time chit-chatting with you guys about Orange is the New Black. Self-promotion does not come easy, but I know it's a must to keep the podcast going. Every time you guys listen to the podcast, you like a post, you comment, or you share a post on social media, you're helping this little podcast to grow, and I can't thank you enough for the love and support. If you've been hanging out in Yadda Space for a while now and you're enjoying the Back to Litchfield podcast, please consider leaving the podcast a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Also, if you're able and want to go the extra mile, please consider checking out our Patreon. Joining the Prison Moms tier helps to literally keep the lights on for this little one-lady show, and it gives you early ad-free episodes, access to our exclusive Back to Litchfield chat right on Patreon, and honorary producer credits for the podcast. And be sure to follow us on your favorite social media apps. We are on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and now Blue Sky. Please follow those accounts for bonus content from the show, as well as updates about the podcast. And if ever you're searching for the pod, remember, it's just like the theme song says, Yadda Space with 2 E's. Thanks again for your continued support. It means so very much. I'll catch up with y'all next time here at Yadda Space.
Hey, welcome friends to Yadda Space. I'm Yadda here, let's set the pace. This is a rewatch podcast, so let's begin. Orange is the new black is where we dive in. Tasty's wisdom sets the tone. Jose's heart feels like home. Nikki's got that quick one fire. Morello's love of love lifts us higher. Spoilers everywhere, so be warned. Super fast, please come aboard. Susan's special mind, filled all these ideas. Because they think if everything's truly as it is. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Let's kitchen rules the game. Gloria's strength, she keeps the flame. Our latest hustle never quits. Looks the towns are gems every bit. Every act is new.